Let's conduct a detailed technical analysis of the Dow Jones index, and we'll do so from the monthly chart and all the way to the H4 chart. And as you guys can see, we're on the monthly chart, and on this particular chart we can see that this index has been very strong over the last couple of months, and at this point we seem to be at the all-time high, and I believe that we are gonna see a crash very soon, because if you look at this particular chart you can see that it's been trending up for quite some time, and I believe that we're likely gonna see the market actually move further down to around this level over here. And why do I say that level? That is because this is the previous all-time high, right? If you would go back in time, you would see that prior to 2020, right, the market was working its way all the way to that point. And as I said, right, price is now again in 2024 at an all-time high, and we may see the market actually move further down to around that level. And in fact, I'm just gonna add, just bear with me, I'm just gonna add this over here, which is a very strong level of support at this point in time. And another thing that I want to mention is that a lot of institutions actually are waiting for the market to hit to around that level again, right? Let's have a look. Right, yeah, as I said, a lot of people are actually waiting for the market to head down to this level, and at this level is where they will try again to move the market further up. But I believe that as much as we have this very strong level of support, there is plenty of scope for the market to actually move further down to at least this level, and then again this level. And also, if I can just go back in time, let's have a look. Let's have a look. I believe that we also have a lot of money stuck here, right? However, having said that, it may take quite some years for the market to actually crash to this level. And the reason why I say we have a lot of money stuck here is because, remember, we had this overextended double bottom or W structure. And as I always say, people buy on the second leg of W structures, and stop losses are usually placed just below, right? So in the future, we will indeed see price push further down to around that level. However, as I said, it may take quite some years to develop. And again, at this level as well, we have a lot of money stuck there, because just like with this W structure, we have another one here, right, where people bought there and placed their stop losses just below, right? So as I always say, the markets will always go to where the liquidity is, and that liquidity is money, and that money needs to be triggered, right? So we are gonna see in the future price come back to that level, and again, we don't know exactly when this will happen, but it will happen, right? But for now, the most important level is actually this level, which is a very strong level of support, as I said. And right, should price reach here, a lot of people will actually try to push the market further up, right? Anyway, what else do we see in regards to the monthly chart? At this point, I don't see much. Let's head down to the weekly chart. And again, here we are on the weekly chart. Let's have a look. And again, on the weekly chart, we can see that for quite some time the market has been very strong, and we can also see that our trend is actually very steep, and this indicates that we are gonna see a crash very soon. And as I said, at this point in time, we're likely gonna see price at least reach this level, and at this level again we may see a large number of people actually buying, or we may actually see more people push price down, right? Anyway, here we are on the weekly chart. What else do we see on the weekly chart? At this point, I don't see much really. And also, just to recap, remember on the monthly chart, we spoke about how the market had given us a W structure here, and we said that we have a lot of stop losses located there, and we may see price come back down to grab all of those stop losses. But again, here we are on the weekly chart. What else do we see, guys? At this point, I really don't see much. I'm just going to head down again to the daily chart. And here we are on the daily chart. Let's have a look. On the daily chart, I'm just going to start off by adding my channel. Let's have a look. Just bear with me, guys. So there goes our channel, more or less, we could say, right? And just remember that we need to ensure that whatever drawings that we do indeed add to our charts are as accurate to perfection as possible. And there we go, right, in as far as our channel goes. And again, on the daily chart, I really don't see much, although I can see that we had another double bottom here, which has a neckline at that point. We saw here price violating the neckline to the upside, coming back to the we saw price violating the neckline rather to the upside, and then coming back to the neckline to give it a test, and we saw the market again push further up. Right, as much as we have, let me just actually mark that area because it's very important. Let's have a look. There we go. Right, this is a very strong level of support at this point, right? And just be careful, do not confuse this support level over here, right? Do not confuse this support level with this one, right? They're two different levels. And as I said earlier on the monthly chart, we said we're likely going to see a crash, and it leads to this level. And at this level where the support area is where a lot of institutions and individuals will be looking to buy, right, to push the market up, right? And then again, just to go back, guys, we said we have another double structure here with a neckline there. And as much as we have that, let me just actually zoom in a bit. Remember, guys, I said at this point in time we're likely going to see a crash of sorts, and we're starting to see signs that the market would, or rather is likely to crash. And one of the signs that I see is that we have what seems to be a double top there, and it has a neckline at that point, right? I'm just gonna add my neckline there, just bear with me. So there goes our neckline here, more or less. And just remember that necklines are areas and not so much actual lines like I have here. So in other words, for example, we could say that the neckline of this double top is actually this whole area here, right? It's not just a line, it's an area, right? But just for the sake of keeping things rather clean on the charts, I'm just going to make it a line so that my chart is not too messy. Let's have a look, just bear with me. There we go, we'll just have it like this, right? And just to go back to the charts, remember, guys, we have, as I said, this double top, and should price actually close below this neckline as well as below this trend line, chances are we're going to see the market head down to this level again, which is a very strong level of support because we had multiple rejections at that level, as you guys can see. And to add to that, remember, we had also had this W structure that we spoke about, right? So should we sell at this point, right? Should we sell at this point, our first take profit, in my humble opinion, should be here, which is a very strong level of support. Another thing is that because we had this potential double top, a lot of traders and investors actually already sold on that second leg, and they placed their stop losses just about, right? And a lot of them will be taking their profits here, right? However, if you sold here on the second leg of this M structure, I think it's a very risky trade. And the reason why I say so is because remember we have this as well, which is a very strong level of dynamic support, we could say, right? And what may potentially happen is that we may see the market actually bounce off of this level only to continue to move further up and stop hunt all of those stop losses that are located here, right? So the safe thing to do at this point, I believe, is to actually wait for price to close below the neckline as well as to close below this very important trend line, right? And once that happens, I believe that we should look for potential sell opportunities, and if we do find any, I believe that our first take profit should be at this point, which is a very strong level of support and the neckline of the W structure that I spoke about, right? But what else do we see on the daily chart? Another thing that indicates that we may potentially see a reversal is the fact that we have this candlestick over here, right? It is a reversal candlestick and it is a pin bar, as you can see, and it has a small body with a relatively long upper wick, and it tells us that at this point over here we actually saw a lot of bears coming to the party, and it is quite possible, as I said, that we may see the market move further down to around this level, right? But myself personally, I'm gonna wait for price to actually close below this level, and once that happens, I'm gonna look for potential sell opportunities on the 5-minute chart, and my take profit would be somewhere here, right? Which is, as I said, a very strong level of support as we had hit multiple rejections at that point, right? Anyway, from here I'm just gonna head down to the H4 chart and let's have a look. What do we see on the H4 chart? Let's see. Let me just zoom out a bit, and just to recap, remember on the daily chart we had said that the market had given us this double top, and that we may at this point see the market move further down to this level, and this level is also a very strong level of support, as well as the neckline of, remember, this huge W structure, right? But anyway, what else do we see on the H4 chart? Let me just zoom out a bit and let's have a look. Let's have a look. Again, on the H4 chart, we can see that the market has been losing some steam, as it has been moving rather sideways, as you guys can see. And this also indicates that we may potentially see a crash of sorts, right? And at least to around this level, as I said, which is the neckline of the W structure, as well as a very strong level of support, right? Anyway, what else do we see at this point, guys? Here we are again on the H4 chart, and on the H4 chart I'm just gonna add my H4 channel as well. Let's have a look. And for now I would add my H4 channel in this manner. Just bear with me. Let's have a look. And there goes my H4 channel, more or less, right? And again, don't confuse this H4 channel with the daily channel, right? The daily channel is here, right? And this is the H4 channel, and we are in an upward trending market, as I said. Yeah, again, we can also see that the market is, right, or rather has created this area over here, right, where it's been rejecting at that level, and this tells us that that's a very strong level of resistance at this point in time. So I'm just going to add a line just to mark that. Let's have a look. This would be a very strong level of resistance, as you guys can see. Let's have a look. And that's because, guys, as I said, we had multiple rejections at that point. And also remember that support and resistance are not lines, right? They're areas. So in other words, we could say that this whole area over here is rather our level of resistance. And yeah, we may see, as I said, price move further down, right? But what else do we see in regards to the H4 chart? Just to zoom in, just bear with me, let's have a look. Right, just to zoom in, we can see that, remember, on the daily chart we spoke about how the market had given us this huge double top, right? However, on the H4 chart we can also see that the market has also given us this triple top of sorts, right, as you guys can see. And this also motivates for why we may potentially see the market move further down. This triple top also has a neckline there, right? So I know that a lot of people are going to wait for price to actually close below that very strong level of support now. And once that happens, let's have a look. Just bear with me. There we go, right? As I said, a lot of people are going to wait for price to close below this, as well as close below this trend line, and then they're going to sell, and their first take profit will be somewhere here where we have this other trend line, or even there, right? However, guys, please don't confuse this. Let me just zoom out, right? Remember that let me just zoom out a bit. Let's see, right. Remember that on the daily chart we spoke about this huge W structure which has a neckline there, right? And also we spoke about how we had this double top which has a neckline there, right? But just to zoom in again, right, let's zoom in. On the H4 chart we spoke about again how we have this triple top which has a neckline there, right? So we're just doing the same thing over and over again as we head down to the smaller time frame, right? As I said, we may see price close below this neckline as well as this trend line, and we may see again price move that down to around this level, which is a very strong level of support again, and it is also the neckline of that huge, let me just clear the board, it's the neckline, this is the neckline of this huge M structure that we spoke about on the daily chart, right? But just to zoom out again, guys, remember on the daily chart we said that it may be best to actually wait for the market to close below here, and then again for it to head back to the neckline to give it a test, and at that point is where we would look for potential sell opportunities to around this level, and at that level is where we may take profit, as it is a very strong level of support at this point in time, right? Anyway, let's zoom in again. What else do we see on the H4 chart that we should be paying attention to? At this point I don't see much, but just remember that price has created this very strong level of support, and we may see again the market possibly heading up to give it one last test and then push further down to around that level.